Hey there, this is Hardline Destructoid's video game news podcast. I'm Jordan DeVore, and today my whole crew is gone, but I've got great replacements. I've got Conrad Zimmerman with me.
Hello, how's it going?
And Max Scoville.
Hi, haters!
People who watched the show demanded Max Scoville.
Uh-huh.
They demanded
why they want that. So what do you guys do here? You talk about boners, or is that the other one? This is the hard line. You draw a line in the sand.
I could see why you would ask that with the name, but this is not really the boner one. I mean, we have an occasional boner talk.
This is
it's hard to resist a boner.
Yeah, that was a hard joke there. All right, let's get to the hard stuff.
Let's do it.
How does this work?
So basically, we just chat about what's been going on in the last couple days, or I guess a week for some of these stories. But it seems like the big one right now is that whole Microsoft Machinima deal, in which Microsoft basically gave a higher CPM. So it was $3 per 1,000 views to YouTubers to promote the Xbox One. Which is okay, I guess. The only real issue is that they weren't supposed to tell anyone that they did this, and they weren't supposed to disclose this, and that really rubbed people the wrong way.
Yeah, including, I think, the Federal Trade Commission, because that's kind of a little bit of a violation of that thing where you're supposed to say if you're basically advertising something.
Well, they clarified a little bit in a statement that this is something that's sort of standard in Machinima's paperwork. It's a standard Machinima non-disclosure contract that's just supposed to prevent specific aspects of the promotion from being revealed, but not that the promotion exists necessarily. And they've even later said that they actually have language that people who are doing these sorts of videos are supposed to use, and for whatever reason haven't. Now that's a little squirrely. You'd think with something like this you'd want to be more careful in making sure that the people you're having take part in this program know what they're supposed to be doing, because there's money involved.
It sounds like they have higher paid lawyers than they have a PR team. That's just like they've got all the language there in terms of legality, but as far as not seeming like something entirely shady is happening, they haven't quite communicated that properly.
Well, and I think product placement and sponsorship is a perfectly reasonable, viable thing for someone who's making video content on YouTube to pursue.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with
I completely agree.
Disclose it, Max. Disclose it. Hurry.
But you have to be honest about it, and there are rules, and there are certain ways you have to go about doing it so that everybody, consumer and advertiser alike, are happy with the exchange. It didn't happen here.
It didn't happen.
That's it.
Because in the end result is it really makes Microsoft and Machinima look bad, and that's not what they wanted at all. Really backfired.
Yeah, it does. And I don't think they were doing like I say, I don't think they were doing anything wrong. I just think they went about doing it in a wrong way somewhere, and they'll fix it. And this stuff will continue to be done, and it's been done for a long time. This shouldn't be a shock. Story.
Right. And then, I mean, now people are picking up on EA had a similar deal with Battlefield and Need for Speed, where it was almost the exact same thing. And I don't think we really ran that. This is kind of a common practice.
Yeah, it's a very typical thing. It's one of the acknowledged means for people who make this content to make profit doing it.
I think it's funny that there is this kind of, I mean, I think there's a lack of understanding of exactly how the business of the internet works from an outside perspective, which is when people get real mad at us for being bad journalists. And it's like, you're having trouble with the concept of editorial versus reporting, and this is when you start throwing in promotion at the same time to something that, I mean, Machinima it's the kids are playing the games. It's not really
right.
It's kind of a nebulous idea of what they're doing. I just think it's kind of amusing that people are sort of up in arms about that, but at the end of the day, you kind of got to be like, is this bad? Is this wrong? Like, they're not. I mean, they're being paid to say it's a thing, but that's kind of how anybody who's promoting something does it. Scarlett Johansson says SodaStream is great. Does she actually think that, or are they paying her? They're paying her, but does she think that anyway? I don't know.
We don't know.
I like SodaStream.
I don't even know what that is. What is SodaStream?
It's a machine that makes soda in your house.
Oh, those things. Okay.
Yeah.
Those things look disgusting, though. Is it good?
It's wonderful. I love it. I wish they were paying me to say that, because I mean, I would volunteer. I love my SodaStream. I ran out of CO2 last night because I make too many seltzers. But you know, what about those Machinima guys? Do they like the Xbox One, or are they just trying to get those CPMs?
Well, the funny thing is like the $3 CPM didn't even seem like that much of a boost for how controversial this got. So, I don't know. Another thing that happened this week that is even, people are even more pissed off about this, rightfully so. At least I hope they are. King.com trademarked candy, the word candy. These are the Candy Crush people, and that's not good. As a result of trademarking this, they're kind of forced to go after games that use candy, and they also have the trademark, I think, or trying to get the trademark for Saga, and then they've had to go after the banner Saga, which is just gross for everyone involved. This whole situation.
Were they struggling? Were they having a hard? Were they not making enough millions of dollars a day for moms clicking on Tootsie Rolls? Like, I don't know. That drives me nuts. Like, they are in no position that that's a thing that needs to happen. I think that was just one of those, some asshole probably finished doing a pile of lines off his desk and was like, I got it. We're going to sue people for candies and sagas. I don't know.
I think when you make a product, when you make a product with a name that uses a word that is totally common in the language, you have to accept that you don't own that word. That just doesn't. You need to do that. This just makes them look like assholes.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing is, no one got mad at them. Like, no one hated them. It was like, well, you made a stupid game, but, a lot of people play it and they have a good time. No one was like, King.com, you're a bunch of evil shitheads. But now they are, because it's greedy and unnecessary.
Well, I don't even see how it's greedy. Like, what do they benefit from making these games change their names? Or, a small... They're not going to make any money off of sales or anything. The people will just drop the name it something else, and that might hurt them a little bit, but it's not going to help King. It doesn't give them any benefit. The only benefit that they get is maybe, more name recognition. But unfortunately, it comes with, hey, aren't you the assholes who sued over the word candy? It doesn't make any sense at all to me.
I mean, I think what they're greedy about is that they clearly, the people who are probably going after Candy Crush Saga on the App Store, I mean, if there was any confusion about what the game was that they were getting, like they want to get the sales from the people who have a hard time discerning Candy Crush Saga from something else that has those words in the title. Like someone else is going to be like, oh yeah, Candy Sniffer, that's a game, and then some person might buy that maybe by mistake. And they're like, no, we can't.
That shows how stupid you think your average consumer is.
Well, to be fair...
Oh, no, they're right. I think how stupid
to be fair,
consumer.
The day I saw a commercial for the game, like, I had never seen a commercial for an iPhone game before. And the day I saw that, I was like, this is weird. I don't know how I feel about this. And that's when I knew these King people, something not quite right about them. They're rich, but...
What's interesting is the trademark extends to clothing, doesn't it?
Does it? That'd be weird. Candy clothing?
That. I mean, are they trying to take over some of Angry Birds' territory of embarrassing shirts that no one should wear?
But so many people wear those shirts.
I hate those shirts so much.
I don't even know how this situation is resolved. Really, it goes to show the faults of the U.S. trademarking system, more than anything, in my opinion. Can't let this happen. And the worst part of it, in my mind, is that Candy Crush Saga is such a derivative game. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like it if they got into just a big pissing match with PopCap, you know, over like Bejeweled. It just comes down to that. Do we have any good news in video games?
We do. Well, not good news.
To work here.
We're kind of going on this downward spiral because the next thing I was going to bring up is Nintendo, and I was like, do I really want to go right into more negative news? But I guess I do. We should. This is a big story. So Nintendo came out with its sales forecast for the Wii U and also the 3DS, but the main thing is the Wii U, and they dropped it from 9 million units that they were expecting to 2.8 million, and that's a pretty sizable drop.
It's a huge drop, and I'm still not that worried about Nintendo as a company. With that information, because I think that the Wii U will rally a bit and they'll have smoother sailing in the next year. But at the same time, that's really, really sobering. The upshot, though, now they are considering looking at mobile platforms and expanding some of what they do into that space, and that's good. It's good that they diversify. I think.
Wait, did they say they're considering that? Because I read that as they're not going to do that.
No,
they still want to kind of stubbornly
right.
focus on consoles.
No, they do still, I think, want to focus on the consoles, and I think what they said is that they're not going to just port Mario and or something like that to smartphones. That they would make something built for something that would be enjoyable for users of mobile phones, and. I think
they should make Mario Candy Saga.
I think a big part of the reticence.
That would be a hit.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, a big part of the reticence on Nintendo's part, I think, is that they only want to develop for stuff they built because they're so intimately aware of what that hardware is capable of and how to use it. And they, as evidenced by the stuff that they make being the very best stuff on the platform on which it's made, seeing as they only make stuff for their own hardware, it's a pretty easy claim to make. That's what they do, and so I think they just don't want to make stuff for another platform. It isn't that they don't want to make stuff for mobile; they make stuff for mobile all the time, but they do it for their own platform. Phones are going to be scary for them, and I think it's going to be some real rough growing pains if they try to expand into mobile. At the same time, I can't imagine what they could come up with that would allow for interaction between DS and Wii U titles via phone games. That could be incredible.
I think it'd be pretty clear. Their next handheld was I think I said this with the 3DS when it came out, but if their next handheld was something resembling a smartphone, actually using cellular technology, but you ever see those things? I think they're called like lightning bugs or like glowworms or some shit. But they're basically like kind of nerfed cell phones for little kids. That there's a certain amount of privacy settings, and I feel like Nintendo, if they made like the DS phone, that could be a thing that parents would go for. They're like, well, it plays Pokemon, and I can tell them I'm picking them up from soccer practice. But then again, that also totally alienates the older audience who already has an iPhone.
That is, what was the service they shut down recently because of children being at risk? Was that PictoChat or SwapNote? What was that called? Whatever the case may be, that is so weird to envision them getting into that kind of market, given their history with it, and they've always seemed afraid of it.
Yeah, they have seemed really afraid of communications as a platform, but they're going to have to get over it. There's just no two ways about it. I don't think that eventually that the pure console business will completely die away. Nothing's that strong.
Right, they can't keep doing what they're doing forever.
Yep.
I mean, it's such a hubris kind of thing. Like,
it is.
Sure, it's not. I understand they don't want to put Mario on a smartphone, but their stock dropped 18%. You think that maybe they'd be like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's put Mario up for 99 cents.
But they're right.
Much
It would be terrible. It would be
They really shouldn't do that.
bad. And everyone would be like, "Oh, fuck Nintendo! How dare they? How dare they put out this fucking cheap-ass, terrible Mario crap?" And the rage would be unbelievable. It would be so bad for Nintendo to do that.
What's the one? They have like a Pokemon Pokédex on iPhone or something. Like there's one single licensed thing, and it costs like $7 or something, like something outlandish. You know what I'm talking about? You guys?
Yes, that is a thing that exists.
I mean, it's just like, just fucking get 5 dudes and have them make Pokemon the trading card game updated for iPad. There. You just made all the money from college kids. Like, you can have their money. They just give it to you because they buy that thing that you make. It's pretty simple. You know, you don't have to put an extra screen on there. You don't have to release it in 5 colors that nobody wants.
All I want is Super Nintendo games and the goddamn 3DS. Is that too much to ask for?
Yes.
I think it is. But think of the money. Mm-hmm. But again, that doesn't really solve the Wii U issue, I suppose. Because the 3DS, they did downgrade the 3DS sales, but it's still doing it really well in general. So
yeah, it's still selling, what, like 13 million units they're still projecting? That's still a lot of hardware to push.
Gosh, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure the software sales for the system were up 48, 49%.
They'd have to be if they're selling 13.
Yeah, it was crazy. So that thing's doing just fine.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there is speculation that it's almost like the 3DS is cannibalizing the Wii U in some ways, and I can kind of see that because a lot of people are pointing to Smash Bros. As an example, where that game is coming out on both platforms. Although I don't know who in their right mind would go, I want the 3DS version, unless they just did not own a Wii U already.
But odds are they
I guess that is, yeah.
I mean, kids on the playground, like,
maybe
that's got like local competitive. Like, you can do the nearby to play with the kids thing, right? That's multiplayer thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess that is what the kids
that's a lot easier. You know, you get your 2 shitty kids 2 3DSs and 2 copies of the game, and that's still probably coming out cheaper than buying a Wii U.
Well, yeah,
no one's fighting over the dumb gamepad.
It doesn't even have to be a 3DS. It can be one of those 2DSs, and those things are pretty cheap.
Yeah, you can buy 4 of them and have all your shitty, gross kids just playing the Mario hitting each other game. What do we make of the Nintendo Fusion rumor?
Okay, so Dale North made me post that. I think, I don't know about the specific rumor. I think the idea of them doing a console and a handheld that work together, it seems totally plausible. I think that's what they might do eventually. But that specific rumor, so technical specs for this system, Nintendo Fusion came out, and I don't know about the specs. Those things change all the time, even if that is accurate. But I kind of
it's certainly not new ground for them. I mean, they've done that time and again with GameCube and Wii connectivity and that stuff. So, but yeah, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they do that? But
because they can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I don't.
At the same time,
they're going to release like a cradle that you snap on the front of the Wii U gamepad that you can shove your 2DS into. And
that would be crazy.
It uses near-field communication to make it so that you can look at your Pokédex on the TV. Like, that's going to be the extent of it.
Well, but yeah, the thing is that they don't get to sell you 2 things if they put it together into one thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that hasn't stopped them in the past. They've been like, hey, it's the Super Game Boy. Just plug your Game Boy games into your TV.
Seem like, what I'm saying is it doesn't seem like Nintendo to just sell you one thing. They want to sell you a thing for everything that you want to do with your thing. You know, if you wanted to have this kind of connectivity between a console and a handheld unit before, you had to buy the console, you had to buy the handheld, you had to buy the accessory that allowed you to then connect the handheld with the device. I mean, they are masters getting you to dig back into your wallet for a little bit more to get one more feature.
Not only that, but then you had to convince 3 friends to do the same for like Zelda 4 Swords or the Final Fantasy, what was it, Crystal Chronicles? Oh man. I wish I had people who would do that, because those games I wanted to play. But
I had multiple copies of the games and multiple cables, and so at least I only had to go and get, you know, people who had Game Boy Advances which was much easier to pull off than people who had Game Boy Advances, that friggin' game, and the cable.
Guys, I have a question. I finally have money to buy these things from 10 years ago that I couldn't afford 10 years ago. I have 4 swords for the Game Boy Advance. I have the Game Boy Advance thing that goes underneath the GameCube. I have a GameCube, and I have 2 controllers. Can I play co-op Zelda with that setup?
The Game Boy Player, is that what it's called?
I think so.
I used to have one of those, and I sold it eventually, but that thing I played Fire Emblem in Advanced Wars all the time on that. The thing's awesome. I don't know if that would work though.
I don't know. I don't think it would, because the way it's, I mean, you'd still need the multiple Game Boy Advances and the cables, because it's not gonna. You'd have to plug the it reads through the controller ports on the GameCube. I don't think that works.
Our producer Bill is saying that he does think that works, which
okay, well,
maybe he does. I don't know.
Maybe it does. I'm not sure, but it just I can't really remember how the Game Boy Player worked on the GameCube exactly, so I could be remembering wrong.
You had to take a quarter and screw in the thing.
You did,
yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what the interface is like. There might, and that it may account for one player on that, but I don't know both players, because it's not a shared screen experience, I don't think.
Thanks for reminding me that that's a thing, because I just got I just bought Minish Cap Zelda for like I think that's the 3rd time I've bought that, because I keep losing it because it's the size of my thumb. But I've been playing it on Game Boy Micro, which I think is the most underrated Nintendo experience. You take Minish Cap and you put it in a Game Boy Micro, and that is a thing that not enough people have done, because that's like the most fun. I think that's my 2nd favorite Zelda game. And the Game Boy Micro is just the cutest little handheld. But now I can play it on my TV. I'm going to try that out.
Yeah, those games look pretty good on TV. It's funny you bring up the Micro, though, because a few weeks ago, I got it in my head that I needed a Micro. I've never even used the system. But
so nice.
I know. And I wanted the Famicom one, and that one is not cheap. Not even, it's I can't remember how much it was, but I was like, I really can't justify this.
I remember when they came out and they showed up in the stores. I was working in a store, and they came in, and it was beautiful. Like, it was amazing. It was an amazing piece of hardware. I'm like, this is gorgeous. No one will buy this, and sure enough, nobody bought one.
I bought
one, and good, but nobody who came into my store bought one. And to me, it was something that I wanted, because it was so beautiful and sleek, and the screen was so pretty. Like, it's the experience of looking at a Game Boy Advance game on the Micro is akin to looking at a PlayStation Vita game on the Vita OLED screen versus what the Slim is expected to look at. That's the experience I feel. It's the perfect size for those sprites. Mm-hmm. And but it also seems really, really impractical for some reason. I don't know why. I know it's like, oh, I can carry it in my pocket anywhere I go, but I know I won't. I won't.
But that's true.
I didn't bring it out on the bus today. I left it on my bed. I could have fit it in my ass if I needed to. Like, if somebody's like, we're looking for copies of Minish Cap, and I'd be like, I don't know why that'd be illegal, but
it's like some futuristic society where Minish Cap is illegal, and they go through searching your house. Yeah,
we don't like any of these propagandas about talking hats. We don't have none of that would be allowed in our society. Yeah, that came out right at the same time as that came out in the DS's Shadow, didn't it? That was like this.
Well, it was so late, and also I feel like most people who already had an SP, and that a lot of people think that's the superior system. I do quite like the SP.
Oh, the SP was great. Yeah, I had an Advance, and the lighting on that was just it was such a problem. And so when the SP came along, I did pick up one of those, and it is a really, really nice handheld. I wish the buttons were a little more raised profile on the SP.
Right, I agree.
But that's the only gripe I have with it. It looks really nice, but yeah, it just makes the Micro not seem necessary.
You know what? I brought an SP to prom. What Game Boy
game
SP.
did you have?
I had Minish Cap in there. Yeah, I brought. That was my prom date. Now that I think of it, I did not have an actual date. I just brought a Game Boy SP to prom.
So were you sitting there on a chair playing it, or did you just have it in case you wanted to play it?
No, I was sitting there on a chair in like a white dinner jacket playing, fighting the Cloud Dungeon. I had like girls come up. They're like, "Do you want to like dance?" And I was like, "No, I'm fighting the Cloud Boss. Go away."
That is great. Knowing what you used to look like, I just have this amazing image in my head of that scene.
I have a picture somewhere. I'll dig it up. It's amazing. God, yeah, that was a nice little system. Yep.
Those are really the big stories. One other one did catch my eye that I wanted to talk about, and there's a school in Norway that is using The Walking Dead to teach ethics, and I thought that was really interesting. We had Chris post it, and on Destructoid, and he talked about having games like Oregon Trail and Number Munchers, and I can relate to that, and it just got me thinking about the applications for games, and I really do think The Walking Dead is a great example of games you could use for this type of purpose.
Conversely, I think it'd be great if people started using Mass Effect as sexual harassment training. Things you should not say to Kelly Chambers, who works for you. Yes, she can feed your fish. No, you should not fuck her. It's just don't. That's bad.
All they need to do is show the scenes where it's zoomed in on Miranda's ass for no apparent reason, and there you go. Don't do this.
That's the most awkward aspect of Mass Effect. It makes no sense in the context of the rest of that game. For them to spend so much time looking at her ass.
She's genetically engineered to be perfect. It makes a lot of sense if you ask me. I mean, you know, they want you to keep playing the game, so you know, there you go.
That was not helping me to play the game. It was just making me wonder what the fuck they were doing.
Well, then you could in the third one, then you could have sex with Freddie Prinze Jr. as a Gears of War character if you were into that. Hey, I see you're doing some pull-ups there. Do you want help with the pull-ups?
Yeah. Mass Effect. Oh, it's funny. Did you guys see that some dude wrote a 400-page script to fix...
I saw that some dude wrote a 400-page reassessment of the Mass Effect 3 storyline. Yes, I did not read it.
I spent a few minutes reading it and decided, yes, this is not something I need to write about on Dtoid. And I think in retrospect, I'm really happy with my choice.
Yeah, I think you made an excellent decision there. I mean, fair play to the guy for doing it.
Yeah,
That's certainly not going to get into a debate over the relative merits of fan-authored fiction. That's impressive, actually. It's really impressive to be that dedicated that you could come up with 400 detailed-ass pages fixing...
The thing is, so if you haven't, for people who haven't seen it, it's not only like he is writing out new scenes, he actually wrote, like new dialogue for in-game characters in combat, new abilities, new classes for the protagonist, that sort of thing. So it was really thorough.
This is like a development Bible. That's
right in the beginning, he said his goal for this was like, hey people, I want to write games for a living. This is what I can do. That's why I'm doing this. So props to him for doing it. But dear God, people, let the Mass Effect thing go.
I respect that there's that passion there, and I'm sure Microsoft's thrilled that there are people out there this passionate about it, because they'll probably still buy whatever Mass Effect thing they release next.
Yeah. You know what I saw the other day? I saw a picture of the script for Beyond Two Souls, and it's the size of a television.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen that picture too. It's staggering.
I just love it. It's like, brevity is the soul of wit. But what if you went two souls? What if there were twice the souls? How brief could it be? Just go beyond brevity. That's all I got. That's like a bumper sticker.
That was pretty good.
That's the thing, though. Is I think that when you're crafting a universe, having all that like background stuff that's happening, all the details, all the dialogue, all the just the NPC commentary, I think it's so cool when that's all there. But when it's kind of pushed up to the front and you've got just cutscene after cutscene and like long ass stretched out conversation. I mean, I wish that as much care had been taken in the Mass Effect games to the things in the world around you as was taken to like the character interaction.
Mm-hmm.
You got what's his face? You've got the fish C-3PO guy, the science man who sings.
What is his name?
Pirates of Penzance or whatever.
Yes,
Morden.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I feel like that's actually one of the more interesting portions of Mass Effect. The fact that you've got Gilbert and Sullivan in space.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, why don't you take that fun, interesting part and maybe just sort of push Miranda's ass out of the way for a second and just have some of that personality seep through, as opposed to just like tomes and tomes of lore about Reapers and all this stuff. I don't know. Like that dance, dance sequence, like just I don't know. I don't know. I like it when the universe feels more fleshed out as opposed to kind of like unwieldy and lopsided.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Mass Effect 2 was my favorite game of the three for that reason. The characters were so strong in that. And then 3 happened. And I did like 3 for the most part, but no, I totally agree. And I think it's funny that we're still it's true, we're still talking about Mass Effect, so clearly we're at least somewhat interested in the property. I think I am. I think I'll play that new one.
I think I'm angry about it. I'm really excited to see whether or not the new one does anything for me. Like it's like a blind date at this point. Like it's like this could go horribly wrong.
It could. I can't even remember. Is this a prequel or not a prequel? They said one or the other. I just can't remember which it is. Do you know, Max?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I really hope that it takes place after everything goes to shit.
Me
You're just in a jungle. You're just Spaceman Jungle.
Well, it is going to be new characters, but
I hope it's all about Freddie Prinze Jr. and his big fisty neck.
That would be such a troll if that was he was the new protagonist.
Freddie Prinze Jr. picks some really, really bad roles when it comes to voice acting.
What else is he in? I need to look up.
I think he was in Wing Commander, the movie.
Yeah, he was. I think he was.
He was in that movie. It was like it was like a CG version of, God, it looked like that kangaroo movie, Warriors of Virtue, but it was like a CG movie. I mean, it looked like something that would come packed in with a toy on a VHS tape in 1997, but it was actually a theatrical release, and I think it might have the record. I don't know. Here, I'll look it up. It's a bad thing. Prinze Jr.
We need to know this. I was going to say let's keep going, but I really am curious.
You have to know it. It's important.
Nothing else going on today.
Yeah, right? I mean, we're looking up Freddie Prinze Jr.'s,
IMDb.
filmography. Yeah, he was Christopher Blair in Wing Commander. Freddy and Scooby-Doo. Where is it? Was he in that? Maybe he wasn't. Delgo. That was it. Delgo.
I've never heard of this.
I know.
Is that good then? Okay.
Yeah, it came out in 2008. It's got a 4.4 on IMDb, which isn't super terrible, but it says people who like this also liked Puss in Boots and Ice Age: The Meltdown. So there you go.
That's all I needed to know.
Yeah, it's a CG movie about spacemen. So maybe that'll be what Mass Effect 4 is like. It's just going to be like Delgo, but with the Frostbite engine. So is there news at all, or no? Or
not really. I mean, there's a few other random things. I mean, they had Alienware Steam machines aren't upgradable. That kind of got some traction. That just seems like a bad idea to do those. I mean, I get why they would put them out yearly, but as a consumer, that seems no good.
It's certainly not endearing me to the prospect of
yeah.
buying an Alienware Steam machine.
You know it's going to be expensive anyway.
Yep.
I mean, it's for people who bought the solid gold Xbox. They might also enjoy this purchase.
That's a thing?
That's a thing. The solid gold Xbox One, that actually happened. It's some British company. I think it's the one that made the platinum vibrator for Posh Spice that David Beckham bought her. They do like weird custom decadent stuff that only.
I've seen them come around every couple of years with some extravagantly bejeweled console that they've made for God knows what reason. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people who are like that are probably gonna be like, "Wow, man, I need to budget my gaming. I'm just gonna buy this non-upgradable annual PC." I don't know. I hope that they do a subscription service where you can just subscribe to a new gaming PC every year.
Now that I might be interested in.
It's at least trying.
You don't trade it in, you throw it away. You just get a new one.
Yeah, it's like a lease. They send you the unit, you use it for 12 months. They send you a replacement unit. You send that unit back, and they sell it.
I love it when I say something intensely stupid and someone actually manages to weave it into something rather sensible.
Honestly,
would that be a thing? Leasing gaming PCs?
No, it will. We only have so many resources on this planet. At some point, things like consoles, washing machines, refrigerators, they're going to want that back to reuse the materials. Unless we start going to other planets or something. But yeah, that is, as stupid as that might sound, that's actually a thing that's going to happen one day. The leasing of
consumer goods.
Consumer goods, yeah.
They'll never take my Game Boy Micro. I'll have to shove it in my ass.
We're going. And now we have a realistic scenario in which you would do that.
We also have the plot for Mass Effect 4. You've got to scrounge new materials. You're just on that you get that stupid probe just going around. And then you get Miranda's ass, which has a Game Boy Micro in it. That's where you get your Viridium spheres or whatever. It's all part of the plan. It's just all fits together.
Well, this was really cohesive.
Yeah,
I know.
The sad thing is there are people who've got more far-fetched theories about stuff. I don't know.
Resident Evil 4 is coming to PC in HD, even though it already came to PC and then modders made it HD. I will maybe buy this. I did not play the port, which is by all accounts terrible, but I do love Resident Evil 4. It's one of my favorite games.
Yeah,
Well, you probably own multiple versions of it already, Connor.
Yeah, I do. I have it on GameCube. I have it on PlayStation 2, I think, or at least I did at one point have it on like in 3 different versions. And I think before I moved to Portland, I might have slimmed it down to just the PS2 version, which I really liked.
That's ironic. You moved to Portland and you got rid of the different versions you had for different consoles.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to move them all up.
Well, I mean, Portland.
Oh, that was quite witty. Yeah, that sounds like one of my jokes. Way to go!
It does.
Yeah, I still haven't played that. I have it on GameCube, and I think I popped it in and it was like, oh, inverted view. Never mind.
You can change that, can't you?
Can you? There's something about it.
I'm pretty sure.
I think maybe it's it's one of those things where I've been spoiled by modern games and going back.
It certainly is hard to go back to the whole tank control type, even though it's not really tank controls in the old sense. But it does feel, especially compared to Dead Space, if you played that at all, it is hard to go to. But you don't really like scary games, do you? Because that game gets kind of freaky.
Does it really?
There are these enemies that are sort of like gray-skinned monsters with no eyes. That are covered in spikes, and you kill them, and then they come back. So it's one of those creatures, and you have to kill them in a specific way. And that whole section always creeps me out. But
that's the thing is, Resident Evil scared the hell out of me as a kid, and I remember, like watching my friend play 2, and there's that one part where you're on like a crane or something, and there's a big bridge, and then the Nemesis is coming, and you're seeing on the security cameras. And I don't know what happened. I can't remember what happened after that. And I keep meaning to go back and replay it, but it's like these don't scare me. The polygon count is too low. They're not frightening to me anymore. And then I hear Resident Evil 4 is like one of the best action horror games ever made. And I'm sort of like entertaining the thought of going back and checking it out. I hear you fight a zombie shark. That that appeals to me. And then I wonder, would it actually scare me, or would I enjoy playing it?
Most of it's not scary, because after a point it does become an action game. Like, you go to a castle at one point, and then that's sort of, okay, it's an action game now. That is and the more I think of it, the more that is a very strange game. It sort of starts out in the typical horror, you're in the woods, you're in a village, just a chainsaw guy. That part's intense. Then it goes to the castle. Then you end up on... You go to an island? I can't even remember. There's this research base at the end. Dudes with guns. It gets really weird, but it is worth playing. And maybe you can play it on the PC version.
Yeah, that sounds really... I guess when you're a kid and it's like Resident Evil and you sort of get all these different scary things thrown at you, you don't really question it a whole lot. But looking back, it's like that series is possibly stupider than Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah,
and I mean that in the most respectful way.
Absolutely. We both agree. I think all three of us actually.
And I think another aspect. I think a big part of the reason why Resident Evil was so scary in those first few games was that the control scheme was was the best they were able to manage at the time, but it's kind of stodgy, and if you make a mistake, it's a very long time before you have a chance to correct that mistake, and that really ratchets up the tension when you have an additional fear over your ability to react to the thing that has startled you, or the dog jumping through the window. That helps make that scary. It's not actually scary, though, if it's really just a mechanics shortcoming. And now that we're past the point where those mechanics are seen as dated, ancient, poor decisions in a modern context, we can attribute all of that fear to that.
Now now it's just they take your weapons away.
Yep.
I'm really, really excited about Alien Isolation, but I'm not going to play it. I'm excited to hear if it's good or not. I want to see some cool videos of it, but it looks so scary. Because
I am pumped for that too.
I was looking at just screenshots, and I mean they're screenshots, so how much can you take them seriously? But there was one of the alien ducking to go under a bulkhead, and the Amanda Ripley's holding the motion tracker, and I was just like, this scares me. This is a screenshot, and I find it upsetting because you get a sense of exactly how big the alien is and how close you can get to it without anything to fight it with. You don't even get a pointed stick. You've got a radar, and you have to hide. That sucks. They are
screenshots, but to be fair, you can really get a sense of the atmosphere in those screenshots. So I'm curious to see, again, like you were saying, videos, and I hope it turns out okay.
Yep. You know who's going to play that game? PewDiePie. He's going to play that game, and he's going to shriek at it, probably.
Probably going to, fly him out to play it or something.
Yeah, probably.
That's sort of where this industry is going.
I just imagine the beginning of Jurassic Park, and they it's the Sega offices, and they're like, all right, send him down, and it's just the raptor cage, but it's just PewDiePie inside shrieking. Shoot her! Shoot her! And then a guy comes out with a webcam, and he's sticking it through, and he's like, oh my god, it's freaking out in there.
You come up with the weirdest sketches, but I love them.
I'm sorry.
They're great.
So this is a news show? I don't know.
No, we do this. This is what I was
was.
saying. You asked if we talk about boners, and this is what I meant. Occasionally, if weird stuff comes up, we'll go with it. So, and there really hasn't been. News has been not great. We've been focusing on the Machinima thing. I don't know that would have been such a big story in a busier time of the year, but yeah, kind of.
I did Detoid News yesterday, and it was Nintendo is poor, Microsoft is creepy, there's a sale at Sony. That's the good news. There's a sale. The word candy has been trademarked. PC gaming is now non-upgradable and annualized, and a game that came out 7 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever is being released in HD, even though it already exists in modded HD. And then I think the only good news. Oh wait, and then Disney has not. There's no chance of a Star Wars 1313 happening. That's totally
Oh,
just
that was.
I mean,
that was bad to see.
No, that's great news. It's great news because I think the expectation for what Star Wars 1313 would have been built to an unrealistic degree by this point.
I wish for games that just get chucked like this, I wish that they would get postmortems. You know, I think that Duke Nukem Forever is a great example about this. I have for whatever reason, I think the people at 2K just like to mess with me, and every time I see one of them, they'll be like, hey, we got you some more Duke Nukem swag. I have 3 Duke Nukem shot glasses and like 2 pint glasses and 2 versions of the strategy guide, a belt buckle. I got those meditative balls of steel, and I lost them, and I got another set for some reason. I have a lot of Duke Nukem shit in my house. Anyway, the extended version of the strategy guide, that's like the special edition, is this big gold hardcover book, and the first 2/3 of it is how to beat that hot trash mess of a game. And the last third is actually a retrospective of all this concept art and all this stuff that they did over the course of making it. And it's fascinating because you see exactly how much changed in terms of just aesthetics and video game design over those 13 years that they were making it. And I mean, the early stuff looks like something that would be embroidered on Jinkos. Like there's like Roswell aliens with like Gen 13 girls. It's just it's the grossest design that looks straight out of Image Comics in 1998. And you know, it probably was by one of those artists. But I mean, for that with Star Wars 1313 would be awesome because you'd be like, here's what we wanted it to be. Here's what it could have been. You know, here's some. I mean, that thing that Jeff Keighley did with Tomb Raider, like the final hours. Why not like a retrospective like that, like a multimedia iPad presentation? You know, sell it for $5. At least you turn something of a profit, and the people who worked on it get a little bit of credit for something that will never see the light of day. I don't know. As opposed to being like, no, you can have the 1313 copyright. Go nuts.
I do really respect those final hours. What he did some other games, Portal 2, I think. He's done a few of them. Those are always good. Although I will say we did kind of get a little bit of that with 1313. I mean, they did come out and say, "Oh, it would have been about Boba Fett," and you would have been. I mean, that kind of rubbed it in that you're not going to get to take jobs from Jabba the Hutt. That would have been sweet, but
no. I mean, I've heard that there's gameplay floating around from inside sources. I mean, you know, LucasArts is just around the corner. I've definitely met people at bars who were like, "I fucking worked there. No, I don't. Now I gotta go work at Cookie Clicker," or you know, whatever. But
Candy Crush Saga.
I've been candy crushed. But I mean, you know, I've heard that it was going to be kind of a Metroidvania thing, and you pick up the pieces of the Mandalorian armor gradually, and you kind of I'm a pretty fussy man when it comes to Star Wars stuff related to Boba Fett, especially since all the retconning. But the idea of kind of gradually, you know, collecting your braided Wookiee pelts and your knee-mounted poison dart launchers and your jetpack adjustment tool, you know, things like that. Actually using the grappling hook on the top of the jetpack, which makes no sense. That's a thing, guys.
This sounds like a good game concept. I mean, yeah. It's too bad we won't get to play it.
Yeah.
That's really all the news I got.
Yeah.
We're really trying here. So I think we're gonna let's close this out. Let's see. We got a contest on Destructoid. You can win Shadow Warrior Special Edition. That is a good game. You should try and win that. Let's see. So this is a live show. If you're in chat right now, you can check this out on youtube.com/dtoid later this week. We'll also have this in an audio only version on iTunes. Do a search for Destructoid Hardline on Google. You can check us out on Twitter. I'm at dtoidjordan. Conrad is at Conrad Zimmerman. Max is it Max Scoville? Okay, yeah, straightforward. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
See ya.